This is for the nerds, this is for the brainiacs, this what we deserve. Go ahead and play it back, you ain't gonna touch me, you not gonna do nothing, you are not above me, I bet you wish you was me, I know it, I know.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Only Friends podcast. Man, I'm sitting like fucking Landon today.
You're the one that broke the fucking chair, man. I don't want to hear it. You broke the chair. You're gonna say I broke the chair. You were literally sitting like that the entire time.
We all know Landon broke the chair.
I didn't break the chair. I didn't break the chair.
What the fuck is he talking about?
Hit a nerve? I'm talking about that chair.
No, I was sitting like this, like a lazy fuck.
That breaks.
AKA like Landon.
That breaks the chair.
No.
No. It's when you lean back and you don't put 4 feet on the ground.
Yeah. She knows.
Well, he had one foot.
I know because I've seen, I don't know why it's like such a boy thing to do, and then they always fall eventually. They always fall, but then they keep doing it. It's why kids would get yelled at school for doing it.
I fell on that chair, dude.
Or they'll rock back and forth. It's like, relax.
That's because I have ADHD and I go crazy.
Oh, everybody with the undiagnosed ADHD.
No, I'm serious. But I wear patch nose.
I'm pretty sure half of this room is diagnosed.
I'm pretty sure all
Think about that diagnosis, like, I don't know, COVID vaccine.
All right, let's not debate the diagnosis of mental disorders on this.
Is it mental now? It's a chemical disorder, no?
Well, that's what mental disorder.
No, it doesn't have
Melissa's
to be.
having a hard time here.
She's frozen.
You froze her.
A chemical disorder. That is a mental disorder.
Well, it doesn't have to be.
What do you
right?
think causes the mental things in your brain?
Right,
Chemicals.
but not all of them, correct? Like, for instance,
it's in the DSM of mental disorders. So it is a mental disorder.
A DSM?
Diagnostic manual.
Why would you think that I just know that?
Because you're smart, Matt. You're supposed to know things.
Stuff.
This guy looks like
you're distinguishing chemical and mental disorders.
No, I'm not distinguishing. I'm just saying, like, it's like the square rectangle thing, right? Like, all squares are rectangles, but not all rectangles are squares, kind of thing. I was just reading about somebody with multiple personality disorders. Like, that's not chemical, I don't think, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, I guess you could say that. It's a dopamine thing.
Is it? I don't know.
Well,
I'm
I don't know.
asking.
I don't think they've pinpointed it. I don't know. I'm not expert on this shit. But
I believe that
it's dopamine, and they say it's gray matter. I don't fucking
ADHD is a psychiatric disorder.
It's just, this is a classic CSA. This is a classic CSA. Hey guys, I'm here to give you. I don't know how to say this word.
ADHD is a psychiatry disorder.
Psychiatric,
yes.
Okay. Okay, then that falls under mental health of some sort. Sure.
Good intro today.
I don't know. It seems reductive to mental health disorders whenever we're talking about attention.
ADHD can cause a lot of issues in people's lives.
I'm all ears.
Well, their executive function. They could be falling out of their chair all the time. I mean,
is this lumped in with Landon not having turned 25 yet? Because they sound like the exact same
it's sort of
symptoms.
Yeah, an ADHD person and a underdeveloped male brain could be considered comparable.
I knew this kid in high school who I don't know what to take from this, and I don't know why it reminded me of this, but it seems fitting.
Great.
He, for attention's sake, would lower his head like a battering ram and just run directly into a truck door.
For attention's sake.
I assume it was for attention. He only did it in front of...
because he wanted attention.
Yes,
so to help him pay attention.
Well, who knows, Melissa? Maybe that was his hack, but I would imagine this falls into the category.
I feel like boys, when I was growing up, were always there was always some trendy, bordering self-harm thing that they were all doing. It was like there was one where they would take salt and ice, and then they would rub really hard until their hand went raw.
Yeah.
And that was just like the thing that the boys were doing.
It was like the frostbite challenge or something.
Yeah, and I was like,
salt
and
ice creates a chemical reaction.
Or they would take their
right?
nail and they would scratch it. It was like, oh, look, I'm doing the thing. And it's like, why are you doing that?
There's like the cinnamon challenge.
We were like 12 years old and they're all like just injuring themselves.
Are you saying you weren't impressed?
I was not.
I mean,
no,
what's it
I
all
was
for then,
grossed, and
you
they would
know?
take their eyelids and flip them out, and then they'd be like,
yeah, Mo used
like
to do
little
that.
boys are like an absolute nightmare. They're just like bleeding and flipping their eyelids and like belly buttons. It's like, what are you guys
a kid
doing?
who would take his chain off and then put it through his nose and then pull it back through his throat
horrendous.
and go like
Yes.
this.
What?
They're always doing shit like that.
That is very disturbing.
It is disturbing. Did you ever do anything like that? You were a rat tail kid, so.
Yeah. What did the rat tailors do?
I'm trying to.
I mean, all right. So everything you're saying is in line with peacocking.
Okay.
You know, so like peacocks, they have these big, beautiful feathers in order
Maybe
to
that's
attract
it,
mates.
because that's when they're starting to peacock and get like girls and stuff.
I didn't do any peacocking in that regard, I don't think. I was the type to come up with a quick-witted cut down
Oh, okay.
in order to get the room to laugh. And
Gotcha.
That's why I almost fought him. I was usually at the other end of that.
Yeah, you were the brunt of his
Yeah,
quick-witted comments.
that's pretty.
Like, I'm
pretty
just going to
fair.
use my brute strength to shut you up.
Have you seen? Have you seen the tortilla challenge?
What could this be? What is
They
this?
just
Kevin
slapped someone in
Hart-
the face with a tortilla, right?
It's incredible.
What
The
is
Kevin
it?
Hart rock one was
Yeah.
fucking hilarious.
It was great. So the tortilla challenge, it's a viral TikTok trend right now.
How do you watch TikToks?
I don't.
You
What
know,
do you
watch it on
mean?
Instagram.
How do you not watch TikToks?
Yeah, everybody watches them because they're all over Instagram Reels.
best
Yeah, that's the thing,
content.
right?
It's everywhere. Like if it's on TikTok, it's also on Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, and
Right.
every other social platform you could ever come across. So the tortilla challenge is both of you put a gulp of water in your mouth, and you play paper, rock, scissors. And the winner,
Rock, paper,
Paper,
scissors.
rock, scissors? That's
paper,
not a
rock, scissors.
thing.
There it
Okay.
is. That's tortilla challenge.
Rochambeau.
You just hit each
I
other.
challenge everybody to the tortilla challenge on this pod.
Wait, you just slap someone in the face with a
So
tortilla,
whoever
right?
wins
Oh, that's
paper,
right.
whoever wins paper, rock, scissors gets to slap the other one in the face, and whoever spits out their water first loses.
But you don't get. It's not like it's not like each person has a turn.
That's funny. We
Not
should do
each
that.
person has a turn. It's you do
Right, so you
rock, paper,
play-
scissors again.
Yeah,
That's
you
funny.
You almost had me all fucked up saying paper, rock, scissors.
Where
What
the
is
fuck?
that?
Okay, no. Where do you come up with paper, rock, scissors?
paper beats rock, rock beats scissors, paper, rock, scissors.
It's
Rock, paper,
it's
scissors.
Rock,
It's
paper, scissors.
Always been rock, paper, scissors.
I don't care what you guys call it.
Matt, you're
Midwest
literally
shit.
ruining the experience for everyone by calling it paper, rock.
I think my name makes a lot
Hey,
more
if you guys
sense.
ever played Toe Tack Tick, it's a great game to play. It's so much fun.
I think the way I say it makes
Nice,
way more
Brian.
sense. The way that rock, paper, scissors is laid out is rock loses to paper, paper loses to
Right,
scissors.
but did you start calling it this because of that, or
No, I
someone
think
else
I've
did?
always heard it called
Oh,
that
okay.
way.
No, it's because of the length of the word is how it goes.
just a
For
rhythmic
rock,
thing.
paper, scissors.
Sounds
Rock is
better.
shorter, paper is shorter than scissors, and then scissors. Rock, paper, scissors. Easy.
They're all single syllables. What's the difference?
Single.
What?
Rock, paper. Oh yeah, okay.
You're trying really hard to be
work out for
23
you.
again, man. You're trying to.
Oh yeah. So mine has a nice flow to it because it's 2 syllable, 1 syllable, 2 syllable.
No, that ruins the
Whatever,
flow.
I
What is
can't
this,
wait.
Shakespearean sonnets?
Yeah, it's
ruins
a
the
Rock,
flow.
paper, scissors.
Listen, I'm gonna
Enough.
play scissors, paper, rock with all of you, and then we're gonna play the tortilla challenge, and we'll just go from there.
Or we can call it scissor, rock, paper for SRP, right?
SRP.
So
scissor,
that's
rock,
single raised
paper.
pots. So now we're playing single raised pots. We're playing scissors, rock, paper. What are we
You
playing?
can start
Conrad?
calling single
Scissors, rock,
raised
paper.
pots scissors, rock, paper.
Are we? Are we not?
Yeah.
Talk to the.
I'm in for this.
The
Do we have
chance-
tortillas here?
No.
No, we just had rotten sushi for many days. It's
That's
gone,
gone now.
It's
I
gone.
was so terrified that we forgot to bring out the trash.
No, I made sure.
I
Don't
was
worry, I
literally
did it.
envisioning a world where we just came to the office one day and there were coyotes hanging out of the garbage can.
The manager was all over it.
Nice work, Brian.
The manager always got it.
Yeah.
It was foul.
If you guys didn't tell me that like eating room temp sushi that's been out for hours or like a couple days old, I would have eaten.
You would have.
Days? Been
No,
outside?
you can't eat gas station sushi.
No,
he doesn't
like
care.
in the fridge.
Oh.
Like,
I
but there
would
was
eat
some
a
that
couple days old sushi.
there was
Is that
some
bad?
that were out for like 4 or 5 hours, I guess, and like
It's fine.
didn't stay cold.
It's fine.
They said it wasn't fine.
When we
That's
went
fine.
to Austin at the end of 2020, I think we went there for like a gig, and after we land, everybody's hungry, So we're like looking for a place to eat. You're in fucking Austin. Like there's so much good food, so many good places to get meat. Somehow we land in this hole-in-the-wall diner.
Hoovers?
And what was it called?
Hoovers.
Oh my
Hoovers.
God,
Yes,
a Hoover's.
Hoovers. You can get everything Hoover-sized.
I love Hoovers.
That in and of itself should have had us walking out the fucking door.
That was my nickname when I was 13. Because this.
We know why.
Why?
I don't know. I know.
Not for penises.
Oh, okay.
So the boy that I was like, actually, he's one of my good friends now, but we were like, you know, we had a little middle school romance, and I left hickeys all over his neck on the day before Thanksgiving. So his family all called me Hoover.
Wow.
Wait, why?
You just
Why?
had no shame.
What is?
Did I leave hickeys?
Hoover's a
on?
vacuum.
The vacuum. Because
Kids used to give
on it.
themselves
It's a
fake
brand of
hickeys
vacuum.
with vacuum cleaners.
Oh, I didn't know. Oh, interesting. I
didn't
only know
think
about
about
like
that part.
Dyson and shit.
Dyson, Hoover.
I liked marking my
Shark.
territory.
Apparently.
Still do.
No, I don't do it
Now she
anymore.
just pees on people.
Yeah.
Marks her territory the real way.
54K for that, Matt. We learned.
We did learn.
We learned.
I can't believe that was only pee.
For 54K? Like, do you know how fast I'm snapping that up?
Yeah. Look.
That is such easy work.
I think Renelle was just a little bit embarrassed. When she presented it to me, it was 100% shit.
Right?
For sure.
Yeah.
I was there. It was shit.
Yeah, it was 100%
I mean, even
shit.
that is like, you know, your hourly is really good.
Really good.
It's like 100K hourly.
Yeah. Wait, a half hour?
just like straddling this guy reading a newspaper.
At least.
Half hour.
Really take your time. Let's see what's going on
Take me
during
like
the time.
less than a minute.
Well, because you have to drive there, so we account all of it together.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah, gas is expensive
Yeah.
these days.
Yeah.
You know.
Travel costs and stuff.
Anyways, what was you had a story?
What was I talking
We were
about?
talking about Hoovers.
Oh yeah.
About
Hoover
the-
size.
where I ate all the food.
Oh, the Hoover right. So we land in this hole-in-the-wall diner, which is clearly a mistake from the go.
It was fun.
And then we get the menu, and everything's Hoover-sized.
It can be.
Everything is also country fried. So like if you want chicken, steak, pork, vegetables, all country fried.
What does country fried even mean?
It just means that it's like
Deep fried.
deep fried and served with sausage
like
gravy.
the chicken fried steak from Distill.
I
That's
got
like
the chicken
country
fried steak at Hoover's.
He did.
Yeah.
He did.
Okay.
I got a Hoover size.
Stretched in flour and then deep fried.
Yeah. So we all order. It's the worst food I've ever
It's
palated
so
in my life.
Fucking gross.
It's so bad. Landon not only happily ate his Hoover-sized meal,
Yeah.
but he shrugs and he goes, "It's not that bad," as he finishes all of our meal.
I'm right there with you.
We
I'm
were
like,
all
He hoovered
starving.
it. He
and
hoovered it.
None of us touched any of it. It was
they had-
fucking insane how he ate all of our food.
So then,
there was Hoover size and then there was
That's what he
Landon
did in
size,
the
which is
womb.
all the other Hoover size food.
so none of us really ate anything. He consumes like 6 dinners, and then they have dessert afterwards. They have like 20 pies to choose from, and he just wants one of them all.
You gotta try it.
Do you remember when we were in the kitchen and he took a steak out of the fridge, rinsed it under the sink, and then ate it with his hands?
Yes.
I have a video on my
What?
Twitter, but
This is raw?
no, he
not-
thought it was raw, so he rinsed it. But then Berkey was like, "No, it's cooked." So then he just, after it was rinsed, just starts eating it with his. It's dripping water.
Why
and
were you
he's-
rinsing it?
There was something. Oh, there was like some down bad sauce or something on it, so I just put it under the sink, and I was hungry.
I vaguely remember this.
I remember
have a
this.
video of
I
it.
remember this. I rinsed it because I was hungry, and there's something on it I didn't want it, and I ate it. It was fine.
Man,
No
I wish I
issues.
could remember all the Landon eating stories.
This is,
Old food. There's like a good 100 of them.
That makes me feel like he would probably actually survive longer than me in the wild because he would eat
Anything.
Whatever
whatever.
you get is
like
yeah.
little maggots. Yeah,
I
I'll
might
try
just
it.
eat
It's probably
a poisonous
good.
berry.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
you might.
true.
That's true. There's like it's a toss up. Maybe
Yeah.
there's a balancing factor in that.
I feel like when we were kids, there was like a commercial or something that was like, "Mikey eats anything."
No, yeah, it was Light? No,
Find
not
it, Brian,
Life.
find it.
Oh my
Oh.
god.
The
Find
Life
it.
cereal?
Kicks.
Kicks. Yeah.
Yeah.
What was
Mikey
it?
likes it.
Oh yeah.
What is it?
Kix cereal.
Such a down bad cereal.
No, it's not. Kix is fine.
Whenever,
oh my god!
Like, my
no,
friends,
it's not. Kix is the Hoover of fucking cereal.
Whenever my friends would be like, "We only have Kix," I'm like, "Ugh, never mind."
That's because you can buy Kix with Wix, which is like the government-assisted program to pregnant mothers. So like you could get this. It was like the only name brand cereal that you could get with like the Wix card.
It was Life cereal.
My house was like a
Life is good.
full sugar household.
You guys are
the Lucky
insane.
Charms and the Fruit Loops and the lemonade.
Corn Flakes are good
Pop-Tarts.
with no sugar. Corn Flakes are fine by themselves. Kix is fine by themselves.
Landon, you will eat absolutely anything. We
Yeah,
have
you guys
already
are being
determined
dumb.
We
this.
just talked about how you rinse steak
You
and
will
ate it. with
rinse
your
off
hands.
Nigel and eat them.
I won't eat Nigel.
Oh, did
He's
you
my
see
friend.
someone tweeted at us that a
Snake
police
was
officer had to shoot a woman's snake in the head as it was strangling her?
No.
Household pet, 5 foot long snake. That's about Nigel's size.
Well, the thing
was
is,
14 feet.
there's always. I wish we could have some footage of what happened before that, because there's always a reason, and it's always our fault.
Snake got mad.
Well, yeah, it sounds like
It's a snake.
something
it sounds
happened
like
there.
the snake
Human made
was.
the snake mad.
It sounds like the snake was laying in your bed, stretching, trying to.
It's weird when you
Yeah,
take
but you if
an
you-
animal that's not supposed to be a domestic animal and then try to make
Here's
it
the
that.
thing,
Right.
though, like
Yeah.
with snakes, you especially like boas, they let you know what's going on in their state.
Do they
like,
tell you?
if they're having long, slow tongue flicks, like they're relaxed, which is Nigel. He's chilling all the time.
You're right.
But if they're curled up and they're like short, that's like, you better watch out. So you
Sure.
have to be very attuned to their body language.
Were you attuned to the fact that he was stretching in your bed in order to get to a length where he could later consume you?
Why would he need to stretch to consume me?
Because he's not big enough yet.
That's not
You're a
like-
small human, but you're a
You
human.
don't grow from stretching.
I miss
Yeah,
Nigel.
that's what snakes do.
He just likes to crawl around, and he always falls asleep. It's so cute.
You think he's sleeping?
He
That's
is
I can't wait to
He's
cut her
gonna
out of the
yank
belly
your
of
ass
Nigel.
I know he's so sweet.
Somebody wrote, Landon would probably rinse off one of those frozen mice and throw it in the back. if hungry
That's a
enough.
challenge.
I'm not doing the frozen mice challenge.
We can feed him like Nigel. Just
Wow.
dangle it over his head.
And he has to dangle it, and then he has to jump at it and eat it with his mouth.
Honestly, if we were to clean off one of these mice and left it in the fridge and told
Like
Landon
if we barbecued it and made it look appetizing, I'm sure he would eat it.
We could put it on a shish kebab.
Yeah,
You know, have some veggies on there with
Yeah.
it.
You want me to smoke
no
it?
idea.
Yeah, we could
Barbecue
smoke
that
it.
up?
Smoked
Yeah.
rat.
Smoked rat.
Master
Slow
Splinter.
and slow.
Low and
Now you have
slow.
to get nice and tender.
Yeah.
I don't see the issue with eating food.
I mean, we're not taking issue with eating food. We're taking issue with what you qualify as food.
And how you
Listen,
consume it.
man. What is going on here?
Oh, this is road trip.
Yes.
Fucking great.
How does
Buff was
guava
on
pull
it.
these up so fast?
Amazing.
I forgot how hot she is. She's beautiful. That movie is really good too.
What is this movie?
Road Trip.
I don't.
It's so good. There's this part later on in the movie
I'm assuming they
where
just go on a road trip. That's the whole movie.
yes, exactly. That was exactly what I was going to talk about. Yeah, it's a bunch of college guys and they go on a road trip and there's this point where they stop at this sorority house or frat house or whatever, and there's this really skinny dude that's a part of the crew who's a virgin,
Yeah.
and he hooks up with this massive girl, and he comes on to the RV the next day and they're asking him what happened, and he goes, I boinked her, and then he pulls out her panties and they stretch out like a flag.
Wow. What a movie. Sounds like
So
a great
good.
Sounds like Landon's dream.
Yep.
Honestly, we might be able to recreate it. Dibs on Tom Green.
Someone said if your friends are theorizing feeding you frozen mice, it's time to get a new crew.
I'll fight all of them.
We're going to have a tortilla
No.
challenge. Don't
There's
worry.
no
wouldn't fight
tortilla
me.
challenge. There's no mice challenge.
It's not a challenge. We just want to know if we can make it look appetizing enough where you shrug and say,
probably
okay.
I don't think we have to do much.
He would take a bite.
All you have to do is
You're
literally
not a
take the
picky
hair
eater.
off of it.
You guys kind kind of have like opposite eating
If you
habits.
just make, I'm
you're
sure
a pick
mice.
eater and he's not.
I'm sure eating mice is fine. Like
Here we go.
It's meat.
Do I want to eat the mouse?
But
No.
if you had to, you would.
If I had to eat a mouse that was cooked and whatever, and it was like a cooked mouse, sure.
I
Yeah.
think when you're hungry enough,
So
like
would you.
anything is edible.
Well,
If you were starving, you would eat the
we're
mouse.
talking about like, you know, Brian
yeah.
coming over the house and grilling up a frozen rat, not us being trapped on a deserted island.
we really need like
I wouldn't eat
a
the.
survival like simulation with all
We
of us.
should go to the wilderness.
We should go on like Naked and Afraid.
No, can we
I
be
don't
afraid?
look. I don't want that responsibility because I know how this ends.
Yeah, you're gonna be taking care of all of us.
Yeah. I'm already doing this enough in the real world. I definitely don't want to do it whenever life
You're
and
gonna
death
be
is
like
on the line.
resentfully building the hut, and we're all gonna be like laying out, tanning.
Yeah.
It's like
100%.
Survivor where he's doing all the work and there's actually no prize
And
at
then
the
we're
end.
just
The only
making
prize
fun
is
of him
misery.
as he's doing all the work.
Yeah. The only prize is the self-acceptance of
Yeah,
man.
it's
I'm
like,
a
it's
good
literally like this podcast, only in a life and death situation.
It would be
I
funny.
don't want that. I'd rather be alone.
It's like a group project. You do all
Tortoise
the
would
heavy
help.
lifting.
He would
and-
cook stuff.
Lametta would be a great
Yeah.
companion in a
Right.
survival situation. He'd be happy to
I
help.
would.
I want nothing to
Exactly.
do with any of the fucking building and
I
nothing.
would
not
I would build you a
shit.
I think
fire.
Conrad and I would just be like having fun.
I
You guys
would-
would be doing each other nails.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
My nails do need to be done. I would literally just find like, you know, a tree branch
Right.
and lay underneath that. And then
Oh.
I'm fine.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
a tree branch, you say?
I hope you'll survive. Yeah.
You're going to find a tree branch and you're just going to lay underneath it, are you?
Yeah, he's basically found
And
himself.
then what, Conrad?
No, I
he
feel
found
like he
himself
would
a
fi-
natural hammock.
He would find like a sick little cove or
Yeah,
something,
like-
and then we'd be like, "How'd you just find that?"
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I just get it popping. We'd all be pissed.
Like my tree branch would be fucking lit. Like the shit would be popping. Then you show me your nice little house. I'm like, hey, look at mine. Like what the
It'd be
fuck?
called.
You would be eaten day one
No.
by
Oh,
some
He's too
wildlife.
fast.
Are you kidding me?
Too fast.
Yeah.
No, too smart. I would have been up in the tree hiding.
Yeah.
Bears can climb, you know.
Well, then I'll have to fucking figure something else out. I guarantee you, you're all being eaten
We're not
before
going to be
me.
with bears. It's on an
There's no way
island.
we're all.
I
before
guarantee
you
that
because
of
the
everybody
slowest-
here, you would be the last one to have fire.
Why do I need fire?
I don't
To
think.
keep critters away.
You think I can make a fire?
They won.
Well,
I know.
First of all, I would be the first one because I have a fucking lighter.
He's
in
a
my
You
lighter,
always
right?
have a lighter.
Yeah, Matt's being
that's
dumb.
So while
actually
you're
fair.
playing with your
Matt,
fucking.
yeah. Matt's got flint and Matt thinks he can flint and a machete.
Hey,
You
bro,
don't lighter,
can you do
use
it over
fi-
there?
He's the first one that has fire. He
Yeah.
always has a lighter on him.
That is kind of true.
Yeah. So your argument is invalid. So
Would be
Conrad,
looking for
Conrad
food.
won. Old bald
I'd
man.
be fishing.
You might
Would be
have the
looking for
most
food. He'd be
prized
looking for things to
resources.
smoke.
Yeah.
Well, Brian's also looking for things to smoke, but it would be animals.
Yeah, that's
Landon
different.
would like befriend all the animals. Like
Yeah.
he'd have like the bears
I
and the.
would summon them
yeah.
to.
Right, they'd all
I
be your
would,
friends.
I would get them to fight you guys.
I think I'd be really good at it because I'd fish.
He'd be befriending like all the wilderness, and then I'd be the asshole who had to come by and whack their head off so that we had
I'd be
dinner
the
that night.
Snow White
Oh, we
of
got
the,
dinner.
I would be building traps. I'm like really good at making traps.
I could see that.
But like, what are you
I'm
gonna
like
Thirst traps or regular
no,
traps?
well, both. But
Thirst
like
trap.
when I had mice in my apartment, I was like making all of these like makeshift traps and stuff, and they worked. I'm like really good at making
I
traps.
feel like if this were an RPG, you know how you get to pick your character at the
Yeah.
beginning? You're the what's the
I'm a mage.
Yes. Wait, is that what it is where they're like
They're
they have
magical.
high magic points, but they're also like
strength.
they're kind of troublesome.
They're mages.
Yeah, mage.
Be a warlock.
Yeah, like that's probably a mage or a witch.
High magical power, low physical power.
Right, that's me.
You.
High intelligence, low physical,
I think
high
I was
magic.
I think I was thinking of something like a newt. Maybe.
like Neutron?
No, maybe not
well,
a
there's
newt.
like mage, there's
newt?
witch. I will say when I played World of Warcraft, I was a hunter
That seems
because you can
not
have
fitting.
a pet
Right.
that runs with you.
Have you
And
guys
they
ever
fight for you.
seen the show Alone? So it's like it's literally like 10 people. They drop them off in the middle of like nowhere, and then
E.G.
the last and they each have like a I think like a phone or like a something a way to communicate.
So Alone
when
with
they
the
when they want to leave, that's the only time you can use it. Last one in the woods wins. They go like 6-7 months, a year almost, like in like surviving on their own in
It sounds
wilderness.
like too much work, man.
Oh, someone said
Yeah, and then at the end you
rogue.
win like $1 million or something.
That sounds good. That
But-
sounds like a good show.
That sounds like a lot.
It's a great show.
It's
Yeah.
a lot for $1 million.
I'm not sure what I was thinking of. I'm thinking
Someone
of
said
like
rogue. Is it
Like
a
a
rogue?
sage, maybe?
no, whatever I'm thinking of. They like have high magic points, but they're also like they're always causing trouble.
Yeah. Well,
What
in
game is
Skyrim, that
this?
would be like a thief, I think. Like I was like in Skyrim, my sneak points were like
Yeah,
maxed out because I
Yeah,
loved
yeah.
going around and pickpocketing
sure.
and then selling the stuff. That was like
See
my.
that.
I can see the Melissa
And
in
then
New York
it's because
doing
you can go in when your sneak is maxed out, you can be basically invisible. So you're just like walking around, and then they're like, "Hey, what was that?" And then like you just have like all their stuff.
I can see an alternate universe where you're just like wandering the streets of Manhattan.
She's
pickpocket-
Olivia Twist.
This is how she made it.
Oliver
I've
Twist.
never pickpocketed before,
it's
but
Melissa,
I
so
think
she's Olivia.
I would be good at it because
Get it together,
I
Matt.
can be very like light-footed and
Yeah.
like quiet. I have good sneak, so
Right.
You could be an IRL sneaker.
yeah.
Yeah. Maybe we should develop an RPG out
Did
of
we
this.
play
no.
Skyrim? Oh my god, that game's so fun.
You should, by develop a game, you mean you're going to hand create it
Yeah,
again
yeah,
through paper, and
yeah,
we can
I'm
all
gonna-
have our sneak points?
I'm gonna draw and
You
whatnot.
can be the dungeon master.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Was Skyrim, or sorry, was Oblivion a byproduct of Skyrim?
It's Elder Scroll.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oblivion's what I played.
Yeah, there's like multiple worlds.
Been a very
or
long
whatever.
time.
Played video games?
Briefly.
You had video games?
I was in college.
The Thieves Guild. Yeah, I was in the Thieves Guild. So
I
there's
love
like
how
this
they all
big
just know
dark
this.
side like
Dark Side Thief.
group, and then there was like the assassins, but like I joined the Thieves Guild, and then you could like go around in the sewers and like
I feel like being an assassin would be like a thief plus.
yeah, kind of. You have to have sneak, but
Because
you
like you
also
gotta be sneak, but
have to be
also
good at
like
killing. I didn't
Yeah.
really like the like whenever the enemy music would come on, I'd get like really anxious and like, oh my god, like I just want to be invisible and pickpocket people. I don't want to like fight for resources.
Luckily for you, it was all make believe.
it was all a
It
dream.
felt real.
It was all-
Right.
It felt very real.
Sunken cost fallacy. A lot of
Before
time.
I started playing poker, I was like binging video games.
Same.
So that was one of them.
Wow.
And then it was the Doom game.
Doom.
Did you ever play Doom?
I played Doom when I was in like high school.
So yeah, they had the old, but then they had a remake Doom.
They had to remix
Doom
the Doom
3 I played, and then there was a new one that came out after that, but I was already playing poker by then. But
The Doom 4.
that was like sick music.
There was a
metal
game.
music, and
There was a game before Doom. It was like the precursor to Doom called Dr. Wolfenstein.
Oh yes.
And so it was like the exact same layout. It was almost identical to Doom, except instead of fighting monsters, you were fighting Nazis.
oh,
So
Wow.
like you were just like running through these dungeons and whatnot with like Hitler pictures all over the wall.
wow.
It was for PC, like old school PC, like Apple IIs.
Doesn't sound too
Yeah, this
PC
is
to
it.
me.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Or is this
looks
Doom?
a lot like Doom.
Oh wow.
What is this?
I mean, they're literally identical. The only difference
Yeah.
is monsters
So the
versus
one I
Nazis.
played was like
This
more
looks like Wolfenstein.
modern, obviously.
Yeah. Man, video games were fun. For
I know. I kind of
such a
want to
brief
like
period
start
of time.
play. Maybe I'll like play some games on. Maybe I'll
Nah.
start streaming some games.
I used to play like Borderlands.
Borderlands is
COD.
so good. I played every single one.
Yeah, I used to play a lot of that stuff, and then I realized it didn't really get me anywhere.
I know, but it was
It gets you
so fun. I
nowhere.
used to play with my 3 friends, and we would like. They always made me the huge black guy. That was just my role. I didn't get to be one of the sirens or the cool ones. Like they just like wouldn't allow it. They wanted to be the sirens, so I always had to be like the big dude.
Yeah. In Borderlands?
Yeah.
Ah, so you're always Brick.
Yeah,
You're
I was
Brick.
always Brick. I didn't have a choice. I was
Brick
like,
was
I don't
cool,
want to
though.
be Brick.
Brick
And they're
was
like, no,
cool.
we're the sirens. Like,
Ah.
you can't be Brick. I mean, you can't be the siren.
You kind of look like a Lilith.
I
Look
know,
like
I
a
wanted to
siren.
be Lilith.
Yeah.
But she was spoken for already.
Ah. I realized that video games for me was just like my max depression phase.
yeah.
It was max
I
depression.
would play for like 12 hours straight.
My high school experience when I found video games was probably sophomore year plus, and like freshman year I started playing like COD. And I would just go home and play video games until like 4 a.m. and go to sleep, wake up at 7:30, and then do that again. And then at some point you realize that
Well, it satisfies that. And I was actually watching something yesterday about this where like this guy was saying that humans have like an innate need to be progressing towards like a goal that they find meaningful. And I think that for a lot of people, video games fills that because you are like, you're like leveling up your skills in a very transparent
you play to finish
way.
the game,
Yeah, so you're working towards a goal. And then there's games that can just be like endless, basically, like the open world games and stuff.
Yeah, like I saw Borderlands as kind of an endless game after I beat it a couple times. I was like, oh, okay, now I'm going to get every legendary in the game.
And it sort of has the gamble aspect because you can get like different guns. There's like a billion combos of guns.
Exactly.
So you can like try and get the most legendary guns and the bombs and whatever.
Like I would start farming bosses where like every boss would have like a very low drop rate of like the legendary gun. Yeah. And it's like very, very low. And you can always
look up like which ones have
Exactly. So I just go, you'd play them, and if you didn't get it, you would just like save quit. And then once you save quit, you could replay them again. So I would do that for hours. And then I realized like, what am I doing with my life?
I know. It's really fun when you're like in it, but then you step back and you're like, I haven't like showered in 4 days and like, what am I doing?
I played for the storylines. The last game I really got into was Red Dead Redemption.
Oh, you played that?
He was so good.
He played for the plot.
Yeah. I didn't care about the side missions that much. Played them a little bit, but like my goal was never to like complete the game 100%. It was to like see the storyline play out.
Oh.
Wait, this surprises me. You seem like the kind of guy that wants to be a completionist.
You wouldn't play the side quests.
Yeah.
You have to play the side quests.
You're a side quest.
You're right in the sense.
You're going to be under-leveled for the main quest if you don't play the side
You're right
quests.
in the sense that like I would constantly look at my progress and it would bother me that it was low.
Yeah.
But I also just, I was old enough, I guess, when it came out that I respected my time. Where it's just like, okay, we have to set reasonable expectations for this game.
We don't know how to do that.
And I care way more about the plot line than I do about like, you know, playing the side mission of beating these guys in a game of poker.
Did you beat the game?
No.
That sounds like you really value your time.
So I got it. My nephew must have been like
10
or 11 at the time. Maybe he was a little bit older, but I got it over Christmas and I was home. So I played it for like a week straight and I probably beat like 80% of the storyline. And then I flew back here and just never touched it again. I also bought Red Dead Redemption 2 and never opened the
I was just about to say the last time Berkey was depressed, he went out and bought Red Dead Redemption 2.
Video games.
Did you play the poker in the game?
Like once.
No.
Not often.
Did you win?
Yeah, but I mean, it's just it's pure luck in the game. It's weird. I bought a PS4 and I don't know that I've ever used it.
You bought something for the game?
No, I bought a PS4.
Oh, PS4.
My nephew came to visit. This must have been like 7 years ago. He was 16. He came to visit and he was bored. So I was like, all right, let's get a PS4. Buy a PS4. Buy all these games. I don't think I ever picked up the sticks once. Which is weird. I loved Madden.
We played Madden for a week, I think.
We played.
Maybe. Oh, yeah. You know what? I did because Dan and I used to play NHL.
I fucking love NHL
You and Dan O'Brien?
Yeah, we gambled hard on it. We got to a point where we were gambling like $1,000 a game.
That's funny.
He took like so much. He loves hockey and he thinks he's so goddamn knowledgeable in it and stuff like that. So it's like he would sit there and he would try so hard to make it replicate real life hockey. Like he would make sure that he was like getting a bunch of shots on goal and like all this other stuff. And I just realized if you did give and goes, that it resulted in a goal a really high percentage of the time. So I beat him by like 4 goals. And I would end the game with like 9 shots on goal, but like 4 scores. And he would end the game with like 45 shots on goal and like 2. And be like, this is so stupid.
It's not realistic at all.
I have a video somewhere of like me following him into his room, telling our roommate Tyler how much of an idiot I am and how lucky I am in this game.
That's like when we played Ticket to Ride with Danielle.
Yeah, basically.
When you're the worst. You have no strategy. Your strategy sucks. Has yet to win a game.
Yeah.
Can we fucking do a Ticket to Ride out loud? It would be the best thing ever.
Nobody wants to watch Ticket to Ride, and no one wants to hear us talk about Ticket to Ride out loud.
I don't know. There's a YouTube channel that they play and review board games, and it's actually fascinating.
Yeah.
I've seen
Like,
I mean, you never know what people like to watch. I like to watch MRE eating videos.
you can't keep giving these acronyms without us knowing.
Meal replacements?
Meal replacement.
Meal
Yeah, they
replacements, like
open
army- like
MREs
the-
from the early
like armies.
1900s and
Yeah.
stuff.
Oh, my dad was in the army. He used to bring that shit home all
Yeah,
the
and
time.
then this guy opens them and they're all old and shit, and then he
But they're
eats them
frozen,
on
yeah.
camera.
Sick.
Not
That's
frozen, just
enjoyable to you?
canned. Yeah, I enjoy it. I do. Yeah.
Yeah, some nice co.
Don't yuck her yum.
It's
we're not.
historical.
We
He
were
won't
all
eat it if
watching-
there's been like the can's punctured or something, and it could be rotten inside.
Oh, okay.
But
Reasonable.
sometimes, he ate, I don't know, like canned meat, and it's from the 1900s.
Look at this
That's
shot.
gross.
I
That
mean,
fucking background's awesome.
Yeah, if you
It's
guys like the
poppin'.
new background, give a thumbs up.
You have anywhere to go from
Yeah.
here?
huh?
I have a
Oh,
question. Do you have
meals
anywhere
ready
to go from
to
here?
eat.
Am I ready for what?
No, do you have anywhere to go from here?
No, of
All
course
right,
not.
perfect.
Uh-oh.
Oh no!
Is this a CSA, man?
Cancel this.
Is this
Cancel
a
it.
fucking down bad CSA?
Yeah, you just relax. It's just a question.
Should Brian read it?
Yes.
You're not upgrading much there.
A little bit though.
The only difference is better pronunciation at half the speed.
D-Negs tweeted, "Who would you like to have dinner with? Dave Chappelle, Elon Musk, Bill Maher, or Joe Rogan?"
Bill Burr?
Bill Maher.
Bill Maher.
But it should be
Who's
Bill
that?
Burr. That would be a way better choice.
And why?
This is where we're
Okay,
going?
I think
Going.
Joe Rogan, I think I get along with the best out of all of them. Elon seemed really hard to converse with.
This is a no-brainer for me.
It's Elon Musk for me.
Oh, it's Dave Chappelle for me for sure.
Oh,
Dave
Dave
Chappelle was
Chappelle,
on there.
actually.
Yeah, wait. I forgot Dave
he
Chappelle was on
Yeah,
there.
I forgot he was.
Yeah,
no,
probably Dave Chappelle.
He would be
I
the
think
best to talk
I
to.
think he hits
Yeah.
the intersection of intelligent, funny, and interesting.
Right, yeah,
More
for
than
sure.
anybody else on that
Yeah.
list.
Yeah, I don't think it was anybody else but Dave for me.
Yeah,
I mean, Elon
because
Musk
he
is.
seems the most
Well,
normal.
Elon would just talk over my head the whole time, so.
Elon's brain is so.
It works too
like,
fast. It's
I know, but I would love
Yeah,
to
but that's
like
fascinating.
try to understand what's going on in that guy's brain.
Why?
'cause-
Because he
Yeah.
slept with his friend's wife? No, I'm
Yeah.
joking. He took it back.
I think I would just come out of it feeling so stupid.
Yeah.
I enjoy that.
But
You like
yeah,
feeling
Dave
stupid?
Chappelle would be
Yeah.
unbelievable. That'd be amazing.
What about you, Landy?
This is what this entire conversation got derailed for a D-Negs tweet about Dave Chappelle?
There was no conversation. It was
No,
over.
There was
Yeah,
a
it was over.
conversation.
It was over.
It was not over.
It was over.
It was as
Yeah,
far
it was
over as
Dave
it could be.
Chappelle, man. Dave Chappelle. Next
Yeah.
question.
That was the only question I have for you.
Oh.
What's the percentages on there?
It was
Probably
that's fine.
high, Dave.
45 for Dave, 26 for Elon,
Yep.
21 for Joe, and 5.8
I think that
for
Elon
Bill.
Yeah,
is a
Bill Maher
little
would be.
bit-
That's the down
Elon's
bad
hype
choice.
right. He's
I
just
think
hype.
he's a little overrated.
Who?
Overrated
Elon.
how?
Elon?
He obviously has no personality, but he's incredibly intelligent.
Yeah, I just think he's just really cringe.
Yeah. He's, very socially inept.
Yeah.
That makes people pretty cringe.
He also is like I think he has weird views about women.
Yeah, probably. I think he just has weird views, period.
Yeah.
And it probably makes us all feel a little bit off.
Yeah.
Like, regardless, I mean, obviously, like, if his viewpoint specifically relates to you,
Right.
either because you're a woman or because you're white or whatever, like, his vantage points are going to make you feel a little bit maybe off or icky. But I think it really just stems from the fact that, like, we recognize he's incredibly intelligent, and so when he says things, they feel very authoritative. Like, he doesn't have the freedom to
No, it's not
speculate
that.
publicly.
That's not what makes him cringe. I can't really put my finger on it. It's more like that he tries so hard to meme and be like cool, and it's just like
Yeah.
it's hard to watch.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think he's not funny.
Yeah.
But I also think that, like, that's a byproduct of what I'm saying. It's like, if every time that he speaks, it's taken as an authoritative.
Right, because he's
take?
so smart. Like if he
Right.
was like normal intelligence,
Right.
it wouldn't be taken so
Right, like, he can't ever say
seriously.
anything speculative because it's just going to be assumed that and also, like, the tone and rhetoric that he uses makes it sound as though he knows what he's saying.
Yeah.
And it puts a lot of onus on the audience then to, like, question his, like, a lot of people are just gonna take it at face always
Right.
and say, like, well, he's smarter than me, so that's correct.
Yeah.
And then there are gonna be some people who are high intellects that kind of, like, look at what he's saying individually and then over the aggregate and like really scrutinize it heavily.
Yeah.
And they're going to look for failure points and say like, well, that's dead wrong.
What is
That's a
his
bad
IQ?
take.
Is he like 150?
Who knows? Maybe.
I feel like once you get above like 145-ish, it's like socially it diminishes.
Well, it depends, right? Because like, so IQ and EQ are they come to be very differently, right? Like IQ is a measurement of the maximum capacity of your intelligence.
Yeah.
And like, so you can have a 150 IQ, but not operate at that level of intellect.
Right. Because it's just your potential.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. So it's like your ability for intelligence is measured on an IQ scale, and then how it's cultivated will dictate like how closely you operate towards that ceiling.
Right.
EQ is fully environmental. Well,
it's kind of cool that
mostly
they can
environmental.
measure potential.
What's that?
Kind of cool they can measure.
Isn't it kind of
potential.
down bad? Because like, how
What?
real can it be? How real is it?
IQ or EQ?
Both.
I mean, it seems like
Like they're both
Pretty
just
spot
imaginative
on.
things, right? Like they exist, but
well, they're
No.
Not exactly
they're empirically.
imaginative.
I mean, they're
Obviously,
studied.
they're
And,
obviously they're not imaginative. There's a clear spectrum of intellect, and there's a clear spectrum of empathy.
right. But how are we as humans able to gauge who is where?
Well, it's just
You
like
taking an
anything
IQ
else that we do
test?
quantitatively that's difficult to quantify, right? Like if you're talking about like in poker terms, who are we as humans to dictate what the true EV of an equilibrium looks like? We're just guessing.
Every day, man, I strive
well,
farther.
you
and
can
farther
tell.
away.
Like, have you taken an IQ test?
I've taken an IQ test.
So, like,
yeah.
the questions on there are like, it kind of makes sense, like how that would measure potential.
Yeah, I mean, it's also likely that there's just some bias baked in.
Yeah. Yeah.
So of course, yeah, they're not perfect, but EQ's very much the opposite in the sense that it's less measurable, and it's the exact inverse, right? It's how much emotional intelligence and empathy have you developed through your environment, rather than measuring like what the capacity is. The idea is that human beings and their emotional spectrum is not capped.
Yeah.
So intellect is like clearly capped.
As in, you can feel for like in an empathetic standpoint, you are uncapped. It's
Like in
out.
like in theory, it's possible to just be like to experience empathy into
to the highest degree.
yeah, whatever that may be.
Are there EQ tests like there are IQ tests?
I'm not. I don't think so.
Yeah, I was gonna say, 'cause I don't think I've ever
I mean,
taken
sort of,
EQ
but it's like personality tests.
Right.
Or,
It's not like as solid as IQ.
correct.
tests.
Yeah.
It's like it's like a scale of strongly disagree to strongly agree. Of like, when my friend feels bad, I feel bad for them, and then you have
Yeah.
to pick somewhere.
Have you guys
Yeah.
taken the Myers-Briggs?
like the
yeah.
INFJ
I
type
used to be
stuff?
really into it in high school.
So do you know how that test was developed? It was actually. I don't know that this necessarily disqualifies the test as a whole, but I know that it means that it wasn't scientific in nature when it was developed. It was developed by two novelist writers in like the
For
50s,
character
maybe.
development?
Yeah, so they were trying to develop new novels,
Yeah.
and like fictional novels, and they came up with this I think Myers-Briggs are the two authors, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
And so they just developed like this arbitrary test.
Yeah.
And somehow it
I'm
made its
skeptical
way.
of like the self-report nature of it
Yeah.
because people are generally not
Well, it's
honest
impossible
with
to do it
themselves.
unbiased.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but mine's INTP.
I don't know what mine is. It's funny. I've taken it so many different times, and I've looked at all the. It's like horoscopes. Like I look at all the different
I know, that's why
archetypes,
I like it.
and I'm just like, ooh, that one definitely fits me. And then I comb through. It's like, well, that one's mostly me too,
Yeah.
and like I'm kind of this one, and
Well, I think it's like probably a byproduct of just like traumatized girlies don't really have like a huge sense of self growing up. So you cling on to like astrology or the personality tests or whatever, like
Right.
trying to figure out who you are,
yeah,
Seeing
define
what-
me, world.
seeing what resonates with you and stuff.
Tell me who I am and what I'm supposed to do.
Yeah, exactly.
It's kind of funny that you brought that up. I was talking with my nephew over the weekend, and he kind of like hit me up out of the blue, and he's like something to the effect of, how do you deal with a lack of motivation or lack of discipline in your day to day? And I kind of immediately just dismissed it of like, bro, you're 22. Like, it's just part of growing up.
Yeah.
Like if you think that
It
I
is,
was
yeah.
lack of motivation and
well, so as we continue to talk, what it really boils down to is like a lack of purpose.
Yeah.
Right?
Once you find a sense of purpose, you can start to fill things in.
Yeah, so he was kind of like just quizzing me. It's like, look, man, when I was 22, I was the same. After I graduated college, I was very lost. It was easy to be dedicated to the cause when I was playing ball and really thought that was going to be my future. I was in the gym 8 hours a day. Like I knew what it took.
Yeah.
And I developed good habits around that, and I really invested all of myself. When I graduated, and that was rugged for me, and it's like, okay, now you're going to play poker, and you are going to try to figure out adulthood on your own.
And you're gonna like
There
it.
was a fat phase there where it was just like, I just didn't do anything. I was lazy.
You definitely had a fat phase. You ate a steak a day.
No, that was way different. But there was just like a lazy phase where it was like, some days I would play poker for 16 hours straight and then like feel guilty the next day and try to talk myself into going on a run. And, you constantly rode this up and down roller coaster of trying to figure out what was meaningful to you.
Yeah.
And he was kind of questioning, like, well, when does that subside? When do you kind of figure it out? And I was like, honestly, it took a lot of like self-loathing behavior where you're just not happy with the end result of the decisions you made that day. And eventually you kind of sit down and have a conversation with yourself and you say,
You have a tough conversation with yourself.
you do to some degree. And I think the framework that I presented him is like some of the most beneficial that I came across personally when I was going through it. It was like, well, there's like 3 layers of who you are to the world, right? There's who you outwardly project to anybody that you come in contact with. So basically,
What people think you're like.
right. So it's the cover to the book, right? Not so
Your rising
it's
sign.
how you're immediately judged when people view you.
Uh-huh.
So there's that outward projection of what people believe you to be based off of how you present yourself.
Yeah.
Then there's this aspect of people who like loosely know you. So when you speak, who people believe you to be.
Right.
And then finally, there's this true version of yourself that only a select amount of people get to experience, and it's who you are when you love.
Yeah.
So I was like, basically, you need to figure out what you value or like what attributes or virtues you prioritize in those 3 categories. And I was like, for me personally, it goes from like being very hard to very soft. So my outward shell, my outward projection to the world, I wanted to be...
You're like a crumble cookie.
No. How?
You're like a hard cookie.
How are you like a crumble
No,
cookie?
he's like something soft on the inside, like an egg.
Yeah, you have a hard outer
Ah,
shell
you're
and
like
a
an
hard
egg.
Candy shell.
You're an
with,
egg.
Yeah.
You're a
or
sour
Cadbury
patch.
egg,
You're a
maybe.
sour patch kid.
No,
That's
I'm
you.
not.
No.
None of these analogies are
No,
helpful.
your analogies
Sour
are a
than
little off
sweet.
today, but that's okay.
I like them.
Sure, whatever helps.
You're like a stale cookie.
I'm a
No.
sour patch. You're like an
Stale
egg
cookie.
or a Cadbury egg.
Yeah, maybe.
Wait. No, just an egg.
Just a regular egg.
Yeah, just a regular
egg.
He likes to
A
eat
gusher,
eggs.
if you will.
Maybe an ostrich egg.
Those are
That's
are
very
no,
hard
no.
shell.
Ostrich eggs are olive.
Oh yeah.
Say
eggs are
olive?
Olive.
Yeah, you're like a
They're-
bleached egg.
Sure.
He looks like a
So a
bleached
normal egg then.
Yeah.
It's a bleached egg.
It's
I'm
just a
sorry.
normal one. But what I was saying to him is that, as you develop, you need to figure out like what you want to project onto the world physically or, through the appearance, what you want to project to the world like through your intellect, and then what you want to project to the world emotionally. And I think that that's like really important because for me personally, it's like, okay, well, if somebody's just going to come in contact with me and see me, what do I want them to take away? And I was like, well, I want to be just seen as strong and confident and competent. And that's it. Like, I don't want anybody to know anything more than that by taking a glance at me.
I see. So like if someone comes up to you at the series and they say, "Hey Matt, big fan."
That's different. Now we're getting to the second level where like I'm talking.
Oh.
Yeah,
Right?
it's like the
This is in
so it's like
passing.
his parasocial.
Right.
Yeah.
So this is in
Identity.
passing. Like this is if someone just like saw you walking or they saw you at a gym.
Which, by
Yeah.
the way, you do very well because I did think you were like totally just like a hardo dry cracker.
Perfect.
Yeah,
Mission accomplished.
so level
go
1
for?
of Matt is dry
Saltine-
cracker.
like a stale
He's saltine
saltine.
Matt.
No, but I think this is important to like really understand about yourself because you can't control how people perceive you,
Yeah,
right?
we're just making it fun.
But you can control how you want to be perceived, I suppose.
Yeah.
So it's like at that top level, I value, very simple things like being healthy, staying in shape, being athletic, dressing a certain way, presenting yourself to the world a certain way, right?
It's like the things that you feel safe with everybody in the world knowing about you.
Yeah. And I think that, like, especially for like my nephew's generation, which would be like Landon's, that's kind of lost.
It's
because
blurred.
Right, because you're constantly under the microscope in the social media.
And people are
world.
really like, there's no real like boundary between like private and public anymore. Like people are so outspoken and raw in their like whatever they put online. So
like you basically get to the second level of what you're saying with social media, because they effectively view you as talking when they see a post from you.
I think
or
social
you're
media
doing
is more
something.
the first one, right?
Well, it depends, right? If you're talking about like Instagram, then yeah, it's the first one.
Yeah, Instagram's like the first one.
Right.
Like
If you're talking about like Twitter, now it's a lot more of like the words that you choose and things of that nature.
Those big words.
More curated.
Well, it can be, right? That's the
Yeah.
thing. It's like if you blur the second and third levels, though, now it's not curated and it just becomes unhinged. And that's kind of like what I was trying to convey to him. It's like if you want to find self-confidence, you need to be able to set up these boundaries for the way that you interact with the world. Because if you're just immediately like vulnerable and open to all passerbys, you're going to feel very self-conscious all the time.
I think it's like a big part of it is self-respect too. Like discipline and self-respect are kind of tied together. And when you don't have boundaries, you're sort of sending the message to yourself that you don't respect yourself. Because like if you respected yourself, you would like put boundaries up. But if you don't, then you're just like, blah.
It also just allows you to build anchors, and that's what I was really trying to convey to him. It's like, well, if I want to project myself onto the world in a certain way as strong, confident, competent, maybe a little bit aloof and not easily confronted or whatever the case may be, then I have to invest in a certain aspect of how I live my life. And that's going to come from discipline. It's going to come from routine. It's going to come from, putting a heavy amount of time and effort into my health, my appearance, and these things that to all of us matter to a certain degree, but it varies like what you actually favor, right? Some people want to be beautiful. Some people want to be strong. Some people want to be this, that, or the other. They want to be different. They want to be weird, like whatever it is, figure it out and kind of just like anchor that down so that you always have something to fall back on. Because I think, for my nephew in particular, and like all of us kind of go through these struggles, you lose a certain sense of self whenever you can't identify the purpose moving forward.
And
if you lack this anchor, which can often just like steer you back into the beaten path, I guess, then you're just lost. And like for him, that's where he's at. It's like in high school, he was an athlete. He was grinding. He was doing all of these things, but also he was so apathetic with everything. Right. So it was like the second that he knew it wasn't going to lead to a result, he just like
what's it all for?
Fell into apathy of like, well, why am I doing this? Right. Not understanding the short term and long term benefits of it. Right. Like, I mean, short term, he feels great every day. Long term, he's building up this kind of character that he can always tie himself back to. Yeah,
I go through those phases a lot. Like sometimes you just think about things and what's it all for? Like, why do things matter? Why does what I do isn't important?
Especially
like,
when
I'm not important.
It's sometimes hard to find the meaning.
Because like you have to come up with it yourself.
So it sort of has to become like competing against yourself type of thing to become better at the thing you've chosen, which is like meaningful in itself, just the process of becoming better at something.
So I think where this is also like really helpful when you break it down to like physical, mental, emotional like this is that you're right, we all struggle with this. I go through this all the time. Like I say this all the time, I suffer from imposter syndrome like on the daily, but because I've set up these layers, I'm able to compartmentalize it in such a way where I can still anchor to this physical disciplined aspect of my life. I can still pay a lot of attention at the emotional, intimate level of my life and ensure that like my relationships aren't being harmed by my lack of confidence.
Right.
And then I can lie right dead in the middle where it's just simply intellectual and rational and
Yeah.
kind of figure out like, okay, why doesn't anything that I do have meaning or purpose right now? Where am I lacking in this particular area? Is this a failure of knowledge? Is this a failure of
Effort
incentive or motive?
Yeah.
Am I apathetic? You know what I mean? Like when you can do that, like when you can really stick a pin on these like other anchors that keep you afloat while you're kind of suffering through some sort of tangent or breakdown, it really does keep you from going the unhinged route.
Yeah. I definitely get that because I've been unhinged, like really unhinged before.
Sure.
And now I would
Formerly
say
unhinged.
there's still like ups and downs in life, but it's less like this and it's more like, more towards the center. We're not having extreme highs and lows as much anymore because like
It's easier to pinpoint what causes it too.
Yeah.
Right. Like oftentimes you can just say like, oh, monetarily I'm not doing well.
Yeah.
And that's why I feel this way.
Right.
Which makes it easier.
But if you are able to like make yourself do well in the other areas, it kind of helps.
Yeah.
I guess like you try to find something you can find a success in, right? Where it's like if you're
Yeah, finding
winning
a
slash
win.
losing, whatever. Are you making me lighter? Making yourself lighter? You have your detective light in the back.
It is really dark in here today.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
It's cloudy outside.
It's raining.
It's a nice.
We gotta
It's, it's a good backdrop for a day
I
like
was
today.
watching this.
I'm over this black backdrop. We got to open the windows again.
It's a good.
No, I like
I'm
it because the backlight was.
I disagree.
It looked so.
And I'm so
poopy.
washed now. Look at me. I'm the same color as the wall.
That's because you're a detective.
You are, yeah.
It's fucking
You
brutal.
are, but in person
Can't
you're
even
not.
see them.
Why don't
Right.
you,
That's why we got to open those windows
Why don't you
again.
just make this light brighter? This one.
Because then I'll just become white.
Quadrant and I look great.
Yeah, honestly.
I mean, we look
I know,
great.
you guys always
It's
look
perfect,
good.
you know?
Like that shot
Yeah.
is the best.
Yeah, we don't. Doesn't matter. Light,
at him
no
now.
light. We're
You
fucking
guys
olive.
have
Go back to him.
the best shot.
Look, he's
because-
back. What's wrong with that?
I'm a
And we're
ghost.
both olive.
Yeah, we're
Uh,
olive skins.
You guys have
Yeah.
the best shot because I'm biased to the Pittsburgh Bridge, but I think the kitty corner actually has gotten the best up.
We
That is, I
surpassed
mean,
Do you
that
remember how the
upgrade
kitty
is really
corner
nice.
started? It looked like we were being filmed on like a security camera at McDonald's. I couldn't believe how dirty
now
you did
look
us.
at you.
Yeah.
Nicole was livid. She was like, how is he going to do you and Landon like that? You guys are the young, hot people on the podcast. He's just going to put you on like a MacBook camera.
On 480p. Yeah. We
A
just
MacBook camera would have been way better
Yeah.
than that.
Wow. I don't know how I feel about this.
You look fine.
I don't know. It looks. You stole my light.
I did not. I just took a little smidge of it, and I'm still washed.
I watched this interview yesterday that I think you would probably have liked, but there was something that he said about, because I've been thinking lately, well, I've been sort of in the lab a bit, just I feel a little unsatisfied with my results so far, so I've just been reevaluating my process. But the interview was with the guy who did, I think he was a mindset coach for like Kobe Bryant. And
Oh, I've read his book.
yeah,
Wait.
I forget his name.
Was it his mindset coach or was it his trainer?
What's the name?
I will continue with your story and I'll tell you.
He was talking about how, there's the people always say fall in love with the process, but he actually is like, no, I disagree with that. Be indifferent to it. Like the process has to happen no matter what. Whether you love it, there's going to be parts that you hate about it, but it has to happen regardless. So feeling any sort of emotion towards it isn't helping you, because there's going to be days you don't love it and then you're not going to want to do it on those days. But if you are just like, the process has to happen no matter what in order to like get to my goals, then you will just be indifferent towards it and you'll do it.
It was Tim Grover.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So he was his strength training coach
okay.
and everything else. Honestly, his book's garbage. I don't know what else to say.
Really?
Yeah. The book is
I liked
winning.
his interview a lot.
Yeah, he did a podcast interview that I listened to, which made me get the book. I think he did the podcast either on Dak Shepard's podcast or maybe Tim Ferriss. I get it, and I liked his approach to challenging the athletes and like getting them to train harder. He was very regimented, and he like really bucked trends. So he was doing a lot of things in the 80s and 90s and leading into the 2000s. He was Jordan's trainer first, and then Kobe kind of like stole him from him. But yeah, I mean, the book tries to delve a lot more into mindset coaching, and I just like don't think he has anything to really offer.
What'd you
there.
not like about it? He seemed like pretty good at that stuff.
It seemed to me that he was very, what's the word I'm looking, like very sophomoric in his thought process. It was all just like, it felt like very hoorah, guru-y type bullshit. Like just a bunch of banal platitudes that when you string them all together, you have a book.
Gotcha.
And it teaches you how to win, when in reality, he was actually just coaching the 1% of the 1% of the 1%.
Yeah.
And like, honestly, whether he even existed in the world or not,
They probably would have.
Kobe and Jordan and these other guys would have just still been who they were.
It would have been someone else coaching them. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Like they needed a little bit of guidance, not like what he. I think that's what it was. It was very self-indulgent and really propped himself up
Yeah,
as
like-
he was that final edge for them.
Right.
It's like, no, you weren't, man.
Yeah, that's annoying.
I'm
Yeah.
so stuck right now.
Huh?
What is, you say sophomoric?
Sophomore.
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 Like sophomore.
This is the problem when you can't read or pronounce anything.
What'd you say?
He's learning. He's learning.
We're all learning.
I need to Google it. I didn't know what the fuck you said. I was
There
like,
you
wait,
go.
what?
That's how you learn words.
How did you spell
That
it?
is how you learn words.
SOPHOMORIC.
Honestly, I don't fault you one bit. I misspell sophomore all the time.
Do you put an extra O in it? Sophomore?
No, I think I don't put enough vowels in it
Oh.
because I spell everything phonetically. So I would spell it, let's see, sophomore. I would spell it SOPHMORE.
He spells it with an F.
Yeah, without the
S-O-F-T.
Well, that's wrong. Yeah.
No, there's another vowel in there that I always
It's
vowel.
SOPHOMORIC.
The O before the
Oh,
end.
so the
you're
O
missing.
isn't
Sophomore.
extra. It's
It's
correct.
not extra.
It's
correct.
meant to be there. I always
Wow.
leave it out.
Okay.
Don't leave it out, Matt. Be inclusive.
Fucking O. You know? What's it there for?
I mean,
there
I
for
guess.
correct-
Oh,
grammar.
wait. Like, Ratchet. You know?
Oh,
yes.
God.
What's it there for?
We should
Ratchet.
have we should have sent these screenshots to Guapo to like keep
Wow.
up for this
We really
because
need these Ratchet screenshots.
I could not. I was laughing
Look,
so
I will
hard.
give in that
This fucking
the Urban
guy.
Dictionary was wrong.
This fucking guy.
And there isn't much of a separation between the slang word and the real word. But I want you to admit
How are you
that
fighting?
nobody in that group chat
It's irrelevant.
knew
gives
that a
a
ratchet
fuck,
was a
mate?
wrench.
I'm not a
No,
handyman.
of course. Look
But
at
what
us.
does that
We've
have to
never
do with
used a
it?
fucking ratchet or.
Yeah, I
gives-
would have known that.
Of
Yeah,
course,
you would've
I know
known
you
that.
would have known that.
Who gives
We
a
don't.
fuck about a
That has
ratchet and a
nothing to
wrench?
do
Well,
with the
that's
fact
the
that-
crux of the argument.
No, it's not.
I was trying to
You're moving the
separate two
goalpost.
words. So listen, I spelled ratchet with a W, meaning the slang, because I was trying to separate it from the real word
And
that
you
exists,
tripled
which means
down on
wrench.
it. You tripled down
which one's
on the
which?
spelling.
Which ratchet which?
The no W is the wrench. Well, now they're both the same, I guess.
No W is the wrench. So you would think that the W would be the wrench.
Well, there is no W.
Because wrench, right?
Well, there is no W, is the
Okay.
point.
I can't.
That's the
believe
point they're
you're
trying to
at
make.
all.
Correct.
Yeah, no W.
Okay. So
But,
that's what.
but I imparted a W because I assumed that the slang word could not be spelled the same as a wrench.
When somebody says the word ratchet, you're not talking about a wrench ever.
Yes, they are.
Yes.
Not
Yes, they
anymore.
If you're if
No, it
you're-
just depends
you're
on
wrong.
where you
What
are.
do you mean?
You're
If
in
you're
the
like
handyman
if you're in a shop
industry.
somewhere and you're like working
Bro,
on
you're
stuff
just
and you
so
say
fucking
ratchet,
privileged and white and washed and everything. Like, go to a body shop and ask anyone in there where the ratchet is. They're not going to point to the girl in the corner.
Oh, we're in a body shop, bro.
Honestly, you really are so privileged.
Like, to not know that a ratchet is a fucking wrench is like the most private school thing I've ever heard in my entire life.
It's definitely not Florida. It's definitely not a Florida thing. So that's
It's not a
kinda
Florida
weird.
thing.
Who cares
It's,
about
it's
a
a,
ratchet
it's a
and a
rich
wrench?
thing worldwide. Like, all of us had ratchets growing up. And they weren't our friends. they were in a goddamn toolbox.
Yeah, 50 years ago.
No, not 50
That
years
was before
ago.
there was
20.
TaskRabbit.
Like, my nephew, if you said the word ratchet, would definitely think wrench over
That's because he's
hooker.
a car guy.
It's because he
because he's a car
knows
guy.
what it is.
No, it's honestly because he lives in America.
Yeah.
And everybody
he lives in a
does that.
blue-collar city where every single person he knows what a ratchet a socket wrench is.
This can't be
Well,
that serious.
we grew up in white-collar cities.
Right.
So we've never touched a ratchet.
The fear is I don't think you guys know what a socket wrench is either.
It's the one that has the hole in it.
It's the one that you move.
And you
it's
go
the one
like
with the hole
this.
in it.
It's
We
like has a
all
little
can draw it
circle
on a
at the
piece
end.
of paper.
Right?
Have we
But
used
that
it?
one's sort of context
This guy just
clues
wants
you
to
can
try to
kind
clown
of
us.
get.
Yeah,
This
yeah.
wants- This
I'm-
old fuck
I
just
could
wants to
just
clown
guess
us, man. He wants to clown
Well,
us.
what really was very apparent, he wanted to win after.
He want,
No,
after
no, no,
taking
I want a
after
tie.
Fucking
Triple
out.
down.
No, 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 no.
It's so hard to get it
Such a
to you.
big L.
Stop! I took the L. I want a tie.
There's no
want.
tie.
I
You
want
gotta
a
take your
tie.
L.
That's the
Yes,
most Berkey.
I'm trying to
I know,
negotiate
that's-
it up to a tie.
You can't take a time, my
Yeah.
G.
I want you
just
to
take an L.
acknowledge.
He's like, listen, guys, I'm going to do you the privilege of
Exactly.
taking this L, so just give me a
He
tie.
never even once. You could tell like the minute he realized he was wrong because he just changed the subject.
No, that actually was very timely. I had
Okay.
literally just gotten the text message about the house showing.
Very
But-
timely. Yeah, very timely. We started arguing about ratchets and wrenches, and he goes, "House showing at 7. Get the fuck out
He
of the
was
house."
so
All Berkey's L's come with a
confident.
caveat.
Yeah, but you also have to lose.
No, it's not that you also have to lose. It was just I saw clearly what was happening in the conversation where I was delineating between two terms, and for all the people I was speaking to, you guys only thought that there was one term that Ratchet was used for.
No.
If the wrench
We
didn't exist,
don't care about the other
if
terms.
the
We're
wrench
talking
didn't
about
exist,
Ratchet.
if the wrench didn't exist, do you think I would have spelled it with a W?
Yes,
No.
I do.
No.
I mean,
I'm telling
I
you
don't know.
why I
do
used the
think so.
W.
I think he
That
might
sounds
have.
absurd.
I
I
think he would have.
think he would. I think he would because the W in wrench is silent.
No, it has nothing to do with that. Don't you understand? I was trying to separate two words.
Look at these
Since when
words. He
does,
uses these
since when does
insidious
slang
words.
separate with
It's not insidious.
don't
I
you-
know why I typed what
Why
I
were you
typed.
trying to separate them in the first place?
Don't you understand?
Because I'm
Brian?
typing, so it's like I don't want to have to over exaggerate the context.
Which one were you trying to use?
Which ratchet were you
The
trying to
slang, obviously.
Which
you were
ratchet?
talking about, I don't know, working on a car or something.
Yeah.
No, obviously I was using the slang, and clearly if I was using the real one, they would have thought I was using the slang.
L
He
asterisk.
said he
So
said
you were
ratchet
using-
with a W, and then he said she for the streets. It's like so. It's just yeah. That
Am I
was
wrong?
Good. I mean, no.
Wrong W. No W.
RONG.
There's a W in wrong too. Silent.
Yeah.
So you might have spelled ratchet with a W.
Slang words generally don't have the silent letter in them.
For what it's worth,
W word
I am on
does.
board with the slang hoe being spelled H-O instead of H-O-E.
I like HOE. It ties up the aesthetics of the word.
Fine, but it's ridiculous.
HO seems like okay.
Santa
There's
Claus.
something else that should be in the end there.
Yeah, it seems like you're missing something.
Why?
It just seems like you're like saying the beginning of a word and then you're being cut off.
You are. It's a phrase.
well,
Ho, ho, ho. Santa Claus.
Yeah.
Oh,
Can't ruin that.
You know that that's spelled H-O, right?
oh. That's HO.
No, I mean like Santa Claus, ho, ho,
Ho,
ho,
ho,
is
ho.
H-O.
Right. So ho.
Ho,
Right.
you know, ho is short for whore, right?
Yeah.
Quiet ho, no one knows who you are.
Quiet ho.
Quiet ho.
Right. Well, she's like, oh, it's like, you know, it's like, it's half the
Right.
word.
So where's
like,
the
that's
E
what-
coming
that's-
from?
Right.
Well, that's a silent curse word with a silent W.
Y-
The
Okay.
English language is just.
Well, when you start to go
Absurd.
off into the slang version of the English language, we're really dipping into
Yeah.
murky waters.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many words that mean different things but look the same, or mean the same thing but look different.
There's some words that look different but mean the same thing.
I'm so glad I didn't learn English as my second language, because that would have been the worst language to learn.
Yeah, everybody says that.
Yeah.
It's 'cause
that
it's hard.
it's
It doesn't
very
make
A lot
difficult.
of things
sense.
don't make sense.
Right.
Just thrown
wow.
together.
I have a
This is-
cousin who
yeah.
teaches English as a second language in China, I think.
How?
And what do you mean how? He
Like, this just
took
seems
Asian
so like
studies in
no, I
college.
mean it just seems so odd.
Why is that odd?
Just like how do you have a cousin
Like,
that does this?
teach
Like,
for
it's
America or
rare.
something?
Yeah.
No, he lives in China.
Oh.
Who would you expect to teach
I
English
just
as
don't
a
know this
second
guy. I
language?
just don't know your cousin. I would have.
He's just saying it's just random. But you just
It
have
is
somebody
random.
in China that
It's random you have a cousin. And he lives in China, okay?
It is random you have a cousin in China that we have never talked about or have seen before.
Oh, it's not really relevant until this conversation now, is it?
That's why it's random.
Sounds like he's calling you a liar.
Wow.
That sounds exactly what's happening.
No,
here.
I don't know. I was just
Very accusatory
No, I'm
in
just
that
shocked.
tone.
I
Matt
was like,
Berkey
oh,
has
wow,
no
interesting.
cousins.
No, he has cousins. I
There's
just
no cousins. Are you kidding? Especially none that live in China.
Cousin?
Cousins. You mean cousin?
Cousin?
Can you spell that?
Yeah, there's cousin and cousin.
Cousindt.
Yeah.
So German.
Yeah, so you either have cousins or cuz-isn't. Yeah.
What the actual fuck?
This is Conrad with English.
Oh,
my
man.
gosh. Well, we didn't touch on anything that we had planned today.
No.
Anyways,
not-
Wait, you
not
had
even
something
close.
planned?
Very, very loosely. We can easily do it tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
Anyways, go on with your story of your cousin.
There isn't much of a story. He just teaches English as a second language in China. It seems like it's difficult for both parties.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
fucking
would never
hard.
want to be in those shoes.
It reminds me back when I was in like 7th grade, I was doing grammar and things of that nature for sentences, or like you had to say like, what's a preposition? What's an adverb? Like, what does this thing relate to? I was the absolute worst at that. When it's like, okay, this isn't like, where's the noun? Where's the adverb? And you have to like
Oh,
mark it with a
I was
highlighter
so
and
sick at that.
parentheses, the preposition, and then like underline. I always thought to myself, like, I'm never going to get this. Like, I'm never going to be anything because I can't do this. And I realized it doesn't fucking matter.
I know.
It doesn't matter at all.
That's
You
how
know
I
what a
felt about my
preposition
math classes.
doesn't fucking matter.
Right.
I'm over it.
Agreed.
I made it here.
Like, when
without
do you ever
knowing my
have to label the parts of a sentence in your daily life?
Yeah, that's what I had to do for a test. I got a C.
Yeah.
Many times.
It was
Couldn't
hard
do
for me
it.
in school to like motivate to do things that I knew I wouldn't use in my daily life as an adult.
I wasn't even thinking that far because I just wanted my parents to love me.
Oh, okay.
I
I didn't have those, so
Yeah. I was like, oh, if I don't get good grades, like my parents might not be happy with me because I'm supposed to be the smart one.
Right.
Amanda,
Smart one doesn't
you
get
come
C's.
you come from a loving family.
I do.
How often would you say that you and your parents hug?
Every time we see each other.
Oh, exactly.
That's
We were
crazy.
talking about this on the car ride over
That's
here.
absurd.
We were talking about this on the car ride over here.
Wait, are you like, so like my parents come to Vegas and I see them at the airport.
Childhood.
What?
in
Childhood.
childhood, when
You
you're a
hug your parents a
child,
lot
Oh,
as a kid?
childhood.
like
You
when
hug
you
your parents
guys
a lot
lived
as a kid?
together.
I never once hugged my mom or dad, I don't think.
I
That
think
makes sense.
probably my mom a lot more than my dad.
But you
growing up.
hugged your family a decent bit.
Greetings and exits, generally.
When you come home from school, you hug? That's so weird.
Yeah, maybe
no
not.
one does that.
No, maybe not. I thought he meant like now when I see them.
Right.
like,
Well, obviously
after
now
a
you
while.
guys are not in the same place. Like
Yeah.
growing up as a family, weekly, give me just a
number
rough
of times.
average.
Number of hugs
Yeah,
per
I would
week.
say
What's your
I
hugs
would
per
say
week?
way more my mom than my dad.
Yeah, of course.
how
Yeah,
much?
but that's
How
fair.
to be
many?
expected.
Over
How many
under
hugs over a
5.
week?
Over under 5 hugs a week.
Living when I was there, I'm probably under.
Really?
Yeah, like people
just,
are
like, hugging all
families
day
aren't just
long.
touching each other.
I
all
mean,
the
I would say
time.
it's
That's
When you
so
walked
weird.
out of the house to like go to practice or whatever, and you were saying goodbye to your mom,
I
She-
honestly don't remember.
she didn't say, like,
maybe,
"Give me a
I don't
hug."
know.
Too old, he forgets.
Yeah, probably.
Childhood wasn't
Yeah.
dramatic.
Probably.
He doesn't remember it in vivid detail.
I don't know, but like probably like when I was in like elementary school a lot more than when you're in high school. It's like, you know.
Well, she still demands it.
separate
You're
from
just
you don't want to
unwilling
be
to-
like that with your
When
parents.
you're
Yeah,
like
she-
a child.
Yeah,
in high school, she was still demanding them. You were just unwilling to participate.
right. But that's
Yeah.
most adolescents.
I mean,
think.
The whole point
I-
I'm getting at is that hugging was not uncommon in
your
a
household.
relatively healthy family.
I would guess, yeah. Right.
We were driving today, and we were talking about how how Landon gets mad because like I don't accept it whenever he just says I love you, Matt, because it sounds condescending.
I know. That's how I
It's
feel.
definitely
like, he's
condescending.
Like, oh, you're in the gym. Good job.
It's
Like,
condescending,
don't do
but
that.
there is meaning there.
Right. I know he means it, but it also it comes off like he's just trying to get my goat.
Right.
All
So
the
like
time.
but then I was just like we somehow like turned that into like hugging. And I was like, yeah, it's obvious like none of us were hugged enough as a kid. And Melissa's like, ew, that's weird.
It is
I'm like,
weird.
what? Like normal families hug each
No,
other. She
they-
goes, no, they don't.
I will
Then who hugs?
like people who are like together sexually.
I don't see hugs as sexual. I see hugs as platonic.
Like, so if you had like a young child, you wouldn't hug your child?
Well,
You never heard that? You know, we weren't hugged enough
She's
as a
gonna
kid?
smother the shit
Like, it's
out of
an
that
actual
baby.
phrase.
yeah, I guess
You
when
hug
you say,
Rudy all the
I
time.
would, yeah, I would
You
hug my.
hug
I would-
Nigel.
Yeah, you hug a fucking snake.
I would
Yeah.
hug my child a lot.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
But
I see hugs
don't
as-
want to be hugged. I want
That's
to give
good.
the hug because I'm uncomfortable with receiving.
That's because
Are
if
you-
Nigel gives you
Does
a
that
hug
mean?
right now,
Wait
it'll
a
be
minute.
murder.
Does that mean you're uncomfortable with receiving love, but you'd rather give
Correct.
love?
Right, so you would hug them like with their arms down like this, like
Oh,
so they couldn't
and then
hug you
that's
back.
when I'm like spider
Otherwise,
monkey.
if you
but
embrace,
if they're
then it's-
accepting of it, I'm like,
Yeah, yeah.
gross. And that's it. Really like explains a lot.
Yes.
Wow,
It really does.
Wow.
Receiving is hard for me. I really am learning that lately. I don't like to be in the receptive mode. It feels very vulnerable. It feels like
I like that.
I don't like it at all.
Wow.
I think that I have this deep-seated belief that if someone gives to me, they're gonna hold it over my head
yeah,
later.
take it away or something.
Yeah, or it's gonna be taken away, or it's just gonna lead to pain. So I only feel comfortable giving
It's
it.
interesting because I enjoy receiving, but I don't want to give because I feel a fear that it won't be received well.
Right.
I'm on the opposite end.
Yeah,
like if
that's
someone,
the opposite end.
Yeah, like if someone hugged, I'd be like, wow, like I enjoy receiving hugs.
Well, the
but
thing
I
is,
don't-
like, I would be out of the four of you, I would be most comfortable hugging Landon and Conrad, and the
they're-
other two, it would be awkward.
we don't like to
because I
receive.
love you, Brian.
Well, when someone is trying to give to me, I'm like, what do you want? Like,
Right.
I'm like very skeptical of
Yeah,
what
yeah.
their ulterior motive is.
No, I'm the opposite. I really do like to receive. I'm very.
All right, I'll give you a
slow-
big hug after
I'm
the
very
show.
slow to give,
one right
but because I'm so slow to give, I make it awkward to receive. If that makes sense.
But then once they expect me to give, then
Thank
I'm
you,
like
Brian.
very uncomfortable at that. So it has
That
to
was
be
a
an
nice
unexpected
hug.
thing. It's very,
A nice
you know.
tortoise-sized hug.
That whole.
I need therapy.
That whole
giant
thing. That whole
tortoise.
thing made me
That
uncomfortable.
was I completely blocked it out. It was
He
so
moved over very
traumatizing.
slowly. That actually took 20 minutes for him to get.
I said
That was sped up.
the comfortable medium that became completely accepted growing up is the half hug, half dab.
Right, yeah.
Pull him in,
You
give him a hug.
That, you go in and then you hug.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that's because like you're showing that you love the person, but at the same time you're being cool about it.
Right.
It's not like a big
Perception
theatrical
matters.
like bare
Yeah.
like you don't attack. You stay small. You know, you keep it tight.
Right. Yeah. You gotta keep it tight.
until the beat drops, and then you open
That's
up
right.
a little bit.
See, this kid knows. I
I learned it from the old man.
It's all about perception.
Yeah, man.
Oh. So
We all just want to be loved, man.
seems like we all need therapy.
I'm literally
Except
concerned
Lamanna.
looking out the window.
Except me.
Yeah.
I think we're gonna have to hunker down.
I know.
I
Is
hate
thunder?
that fucking word.
Hunker down.
Hunker is the worst fucking word. What a terrible word.
Yeah, it is kind
What
of
a
gross.
terrible.
Why,
Who says
wait,
the
wait,
word?
wait, why is that such a bad
Who
word?
says the word a hunker? Like
I
what
say
kind-
that.
What kind of
Old
word is
people.
that? Yeah, it's an old person word.
Yeah, it is.
No,
Gotta hunker
it's
down.
it's a word of
Hunker
people who
down?
grew up in a region where weather was an issue.
Yeah, he did. He lived in Florida.
lived-
You
I
didn't
lived
hunker
with-
down during
bro.
the
every day
Hurricane
they have
Andrew?
to
I know
hunker
about
down.
my fair share of hunkering down, but doesn't mean I don't have to like the word anymore.
True. Some people just don't like words.
Some people don't like the word moist. I don't mind
Someone's
moist.
fine.
That's like the one word you go to. It's like,
I don't mind
Moist.
moist at all, but hunker is a really annoying word. Hunker and
Moist.
cordial for me.
Yeah.
These words-
Cordial?
Cordial.
You don't like cordial.
It's just a dumb word. Why would you say that word? Just a dumb word.
Yeah.
dumb word.
Just a dumb
can
word. Like
see where
moist
you're
is
coming
fine. People don't like it because of the way it makes like it sounds in your mouth. But like cordial, terrible word.
It's
Terrible word.
Almost exclusively women who don't like the word moist.
Why?
And it's because it has a correlation to vagina.
Ah.
I don't know. Is it? I don't mind that word.
We know.
I get my fingers wet all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, like that's not even a saying, man.
All right, we're gonna hunker down and keep it cordial. We're gonna move this on down to tomorrow.
What are we gonna talk about tomorrow?
Who knows?
What did we even talk about today?
We didn't talk about anything.
was
Those are the
good.
best days.
That's the beauty of it.
We had a CSA.
As always, appreciate you guys for tuning in. Big shout out to Matt Glantz, who gave us a retweet, said he's really enjoying the show. I hope today wasn't too much of a shit show for him.
The $1 Million
You know,
winner.
he called
Matt
us a
Lance.
misfits.
Well,
He said a group of misfits.
is he
We are
wrong?
misfits.
Who's a misfit here?
Me.
Me.
Melissa, you.
Big guest on Thursday. We can say.
We're all effectively
Yeah, I guess
orphans.
we can tease it now. Espen and Henry Kilbane will be here. Espen doesn't even get a
Henry.
last name anymore. He's just the champ.
He's just
champ.
Espen,
so he's
yeah.
just Espen.
just Espen.
Also, his last name starts with a J and isn't
Jorstad.
pronounced
Jorstad.
Jorstad. So,
Just imagine it being a Y.
no, I don't
J.
want to imagine anything.
Just imagine it. And
It's a
try it.
fucking J, and
Now make it
the
a
fact
Y
that I can't say as much makes me not want to say it at all. So he's the champ. Champ is here.
That's a
Champ
champ.
will be here.
The champ's not here. He'll be here Thursday.
You'll be here Thursday. Looking forward to that interview. We'll discuss all things that nobody on this podcast will be interested in except for me.
Like what?
Fitness, nutrition.
Oh, so I just died.
So we're going to talk
I
about your
forgot your
eating
new
disorder.
age.
He's going to
again.
tell us exactly how to win the main event.
Oh,
Right.
But
Yeah.
is it tortoise style?
Yes.
I heard he won Queen Jack.
I'm sure
versus
he went into
Kings.
tortoise mode a few times during that tournament.
Sometimes you gotta go tortoise mode.
He won Queen Jack versus Queens.
Yeah.
That's not tortoise mode.
That's not tortoise mode. I didn't say it was tortoise mode the whole way through, but there's points at the time. You have to be tortoise.
Sometimes you're the tortoise, sometimes you're the hare.
It's called shifting gears, guys.
I did hear about this whole gear shifting and image replacement. And
I mean, we got the Twitter message of the tortoise going down the fucking ramp. We seen it. The tortoise starts moving.
That is high gear for sure. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We'll be back tomorrow around noon. Please like, subscribe, comment. Leave us a hug.
give us a hug. Yeah.
We'll see you guys
If you
all
see
tomorrow.
Matt, if you see Matt, give him a hug.
Don't.